These UFOs are out here, man, and I want to find them.
Perhaps no one spends as much time on skyward mysteries as Jeff Woolwine.
But when these lights come on, it's like somebody with a switch on a wall. Boop. Here we are.
Woolwine's tours are free too, and you're free to believe or not.
Jeff Woolwine, the first person to do this. I think he's as honest as the day is long.
He describes his guests as top-notch, credible, and says Woolwine is one of the good guys.
Whether you believe in UFOs or not, there is something here. And they were here a long time ago. And their sightings is recorded on the mountain.
How's everybody doing today? Glad you are back here at the Phoenix Lights, Petroglyphs in the Sky UFO show. How is everybody doing today? Glad you guys could make it. The only place where we talk about what the Phoenix Lights really is, not just from some hearsay out of towner, but someone who was actually there that night. Didn't see anything in the sky March 13, 1997. Nothing flew over the city. I was there. We actually talk about what exactly happened and the Phoenix Lights history, not only the history of the Phoenix Lights, but Arizona's past also. Phoenix, Arizona's past. That has been covered up for the last 80 years or so. And so, hey, how's everybody doing? So glad you are here. And yeah, so my name's Jeff Woolwine. I was born in Phoenix, Arizona. Born and raised there. I've been seeing these things in the sky ever since I was a kid. So I was kind of brought up with these lights in the sky. And so, you know, as an adult, you know, you see these things everywhere that you go. So I just made it a quest. I went on a hunt. I went on a journey to find out exactly what these things are flying around in our skies and how the Phoenix, Arizona has a connection with these entities that we now are called the Phoenix Lights, and what their past is, what their history is. And so yeah, many years, over 20 years of research, not only watching the skies in Phoenix, Arizona, hiking a sacred mountain known as South Mountain, formerly known as Mount Sepoa by the Native Americans, Mountain of Mercy. And so yeah, this is a sacred and holy mountain, and it still is today because of these beings that constantly visit this mountain on a regular basis. This has been going on for thousands and thousands of years. The Phoenix Lights, these lights in the skies and these things that we see in the skies today is nothing new. This is nothing new. This has been going on for thousands of years. And, you know, so it's about time we understand what their history is and what they're here for and what it's all about. And that's what this show is all about, is getting to the bottom of what these things are in the skies. Not just from some hearsay trying to sell a book with no evidence, not just some hearsay coming in with, you know, fake videos and blah, blah. No, this is true research. This is true history. And, you know, like I said, you know, many years of hiking that mountain, understanding the Native American petroglyphs, having a Native American personally go up on South Mountain and teach me the ways of these petroglyphs, the meanings and the myths and the stories and all that stuff. But yeah, you know, this is not just hearsay. This information has been with us ever since, you know, the beginning of time. The Native Americans or indigenous people, I have a hard time saying that, excuse me, has been telling us about this all these years, for centuries. You know, they've been telling us, look, these things, these spirits in the sky, they're shapeshifters. They change color. They like to look like many different shapes. And so, yeah, you know, this information isn't anything new. It's not just my opinion. It's not my, you know, whatever. I mean, this is true facts, stuff that can be proven. not only what the history of Phoenix, but also the history of these petroglyphs that are located on the mountains. Now, one of the reasons why we don't know about the Phoenix Lights is because, like I said before, this information has been covered up. It's been buried. And we're going to talk about some people that has helped cover this story up. And these people, when they were doing it, they didn't really understand what they were doing at the time. They needed jobs, things like that. So they were only doing what they were told, what they were hired to do. And they went in there and they destroyed petroglyphs. They destroyed history. We're going to talk about that. And they were called the CCC, the Central Conservation Corps. Now, these people got together during the Depression back in the early 1930s under President Roosevelt. Well, why don't we just bring this up right now? See if we can bring it up. Here we go. Civilian Conservation Corps. Now, this is their emblem here in Phoenix, Arizona. The 8th Corps area. Now, these people were hired by, like I said, President Roosevelt to go up there and to make South Mountain a park, a family-type oriented setting park. And so it was back in the Depression back then. And so, you know, by now we know that President Roosevelt had polio and he couldn't, you know, get around that well. But he was really intrigued on the United States history, landscape, past, what the original Native Americans had to say about the United States, things like this. So he sent his wife out to journey out and to investigate some of these places, especially here in the Southwest. Like California, Utah, Arizona, things like that, because they wanted to learn more about, you know, what the landscape, what the past, what the Native Americans has to say about, you know, their culture, their history. And when it comes to Phoenix, Arizona, when it comes to South Mountain, especially South Mountain, the history on that, those of you who have been following me, those of you who have picked up my book, understand what I'm talking about. Know that the past here in Phoenix, Arizona isn't a very good one. Archaeologists wants us to believe, well, the Hohokam Indians was just a peace loving race of Native Americans, the first people, the first natives to settle here in this Valley of the Sun. And they didn't go to war with anybody. They were masters of the canal system, and this went on for 1,000 years. And then all of a sudden, one day they were gone. They turned up missing. Now, the archaeologist wants us to believe, well, they simply migrated somewhere else because of drought. Well, this makes no sense. When we actually look into this, we find out that they actually was taken away, if you will. They didn't leave, because if they left somewhere, we could follow where they went. Now, Hohokam is a Pima word for the people who are gone, the people who are missing, the people who got taken away. Now, the Pima considers the Hohokam ancestors. So does the Tohono O'odham tribe. And in my opinion, in my beliefs, I believe that the Tohono O'odham tribe is more ancestors to the Hohokam Indians more than the Pimas. But the Pimas named them. The Pimas named them the Hohokams, the people who are gone, the people who got taken away. And when I was doing my 20 years research on the petroglyphs, on the stories of Phoenix, Arizona, I was finding all these stuff out there, for like a year, right? Not only did I match these UFOs in the sky to the rock art, and I wanted to find out more about the rock art, so I called up a Native American shaman from the Pueblo Indian Art Museum, and I had him teach me the petroglyphs up there and the ways of how the Hohokam people survived, living off the land and hunting and gathering and things like that, and carving their stories on the mountains there. And that's exactly what it is. These petroglyphs are prehistoric photographs. And when you really analyze them, when you really take a second look at these glyphs, you know, they're special events. You know, they didn't have video cameras back then. They didn't have photographs. You know, they didn't have cameras. So they carved these petroglyphs in the spots where the event took place at. That's why these petroglyphs aren't supposed to be moved, and we're going to talk about this here in a minute. We'll talk about one guy that did move the petroglyphs, did move a big boulder. And so we're not supposed to touch the petroglyphs. So when you see the glyphs in that area, for instance, you know, you're hiking on the mountain and you see some petroglyphs carved on a boulder. Well, that's a written testimony. That's a prehistoric photograph of an event that took place right there in that area. That's why you're not supposed to move the glyphs, because you move the glyphs, you're removing the history, you're removing the story, and you're removing a sacred testimony of what happened right there in that area. So I'm up on the mountain, you know, 15 years going by. Well, this first year going by, you know, I'm finding altars. I'm finding evidence of sacrifice. I'm finding stuff that the archaeologist really isn't talking about. Now, I love archaeology. I've been studying archaeology way before I was studying ufology. And so I could spot something man-made like a mile away, right? You know, I was doing this way before I was a sky watcher. You know, I love archaeology. I love history. And so I'm finding all this stuff on South Mountain. And, you know, of course, I picked up the archaeologist's book, you know, because you got to do a thorough research on this. You know, you just can't go on your opinion. You have to cross your T's and dot your I's. And, you know, you have to find out what the archaeologist says. You know, then you have to find out what the Native Americans say. And then you have to go find out, you know, what's buried in the Phoenix Library. And we'll talk about that later. I'm getting ahead of myself. I always do that. But, you know, I'm finding all this stuff. I'm finding altars, you know, sacrificing altars. I'm finding tombs out there on South Mountain. You know, I'm finding carvings of giants, you know, and I'm finding, you know, evidence of possible giants' construction work of these huge, massive boulders that has been placed in a wall. And I'm going to show you a photograph of this, today on today's show. And I'm finding all this stuff, you know, and I'm like, dude, what is going on with this, you know? So for a year, I'm watching the skies. I'm matching the petroglyphs with these phoenix lights, with these things that we see in the skies today. You know, I'm coming to the conclusion, right? You know, I mean, sure, spacecrafts and things like that and Little Gray Man, that's all fine and dandy. That's awesome. But what I'm seeing and what I'm witnessing and what's actually making more sense and what the petroglyphs are teaching me is that there's something else here. Not only crafts, not only gray guys, but living creatures, living beings. And the Mayans are talking about the flying serpent, the feathered serpent, Quetzalcoatl, the flying snake. And that's exactly what the petroglyphs out here in Phoenix, Arizona are talking about. Flying serpents. I've been all over those mountains here in the Valley of the Sun. I've been on every mountain. I've seen thousands of petroglyphs. I've recorded them. I've photographed them. I've studied them. And I can honestly tell you, I have not once came across any petroglyph carving on South Mountain, on the mountains of Phoenix, Arizona, on the Superstition Mountains, on the West Mountain, on the White Tank Mountains, on North Mountain, on A Mountain, Shaw Butte Mountain, whatever mountain you want to call that mountain. I've been there. I've seen them. I've recorded them. And I can tell you, I have not once seen anything that resembles a spaceship, a craft. What I found is something completely different. These orbs that we see in the sky, these lights, these strange things we see in the skies today are exactly what the Hohokam Indians were seeing. I'll give you a secret. These beings in the sky don't die. So when we see these things in the sky, this is the exact same thing. It's the same one. It's the same entity that was recorded and seen over 1,000 years ago. You see that light in the sky? Well, the Hohokam Indians saw the same light, the same being, the same creature. And what are they saying about these beings? not only in oral tradition, but on the petroglyph carvings also, is that these things shape-shift. They're shape-shifters. They like to take the shapes of serpents. They like to take the shapes of orbs. They like to take the shape of animals, sometimes humans, right? Some of these petroglyphs depict these lizard men, right? These beings came up out of the sand world, came down from the sky, and they look like everyone else. That is the story here in Phoenix, Arizona. How did the Hohokam people get here? They followed the lights to South Mountain, right? They came out of Mexico. They followed these lights, the same lights as in Mexico. And they followed the lights to this valley. Now, back then, Arizona was a part of Mexico. That's no big secret. Mexico was a part, or Arizona was a part of Mexico, so it only makes sense. Like, the Mayans were here, right? Some would even argue that the Hohokam Indians was the Mayans. That's very possible, because that's where a lot of these stories and legends that I dug up in the Phoenix Library that's been buried for 80 years, that's what it kind of relates to. It kind of talks about that the Hohokam people were really, you know, some Mayans. And I found Mayan carvings out there, petroglyphs. So I'm finding all this stuff, and I'm understanding the story, right? And so, like, a year goes by, and I'm doing radio shows, I'm doing TV shows, you know, I'm getting my book together, and I'm doing all my research, right? So now it's time to investigate the CCC. That's what led me to the Phoenix Library in downtown Phoenix, the Burton Bar Library. If any of you want to check this information out, if you live in Phoenix, go to the Burton Bar Library in downtown Phoenix. Go to the 4th floor, to the Arizona room. Ask the secretary, give me a folder on South Mountain, like 1960s and older, right? So she brings me out this folder, and it's thick, right? As soon as I open it up, boom. Because I'm investigating the CCC. You know, I want to find out everything there is to know about, you know, because when I'm out there on the mountain, I'm finding boulders that have been blown up, okay, with rock art on it, with petroglyphs carved on them. And they're blown up. They're destroyed. And I can still see the dynamite sticks. I'm going to show you photographs today. I can still see dynamite sticks in these boulders where these boulders were blown up and had petroglyphs on it. So I'm like, dude, why is the CCC out there blowing up petroglyphs? You know, not only did the CCC construct tables and park benches and trails and swing sets for the kids, and that was the mindset. You know, that was the whole idea, was to make South Mountain a public park, right? But petroglyphs over there depicting, you know, sacrifice and demonic creatures and whatever, just didn't set right, you know, with the family setting. So in my studies, I discovered that the CCC was a part of blowing up these petroglyphs, concealing the story. Now, I'm getting ahead of myself again. So when I'm up there at the library and I'm investigating the CCC, trying to figure out why the CCC blew up all these petroglyphs, I open up this folder, and lo and behold, I find the first park ranger, Charles Holbrook. Everybody knows who Charles Holbrook is. You know, I've been talking about him in every show. And you know, he talks about how the Mayans came to Phoenix, the Hohokam Indians, and how there was, you know, it's from nations, tribal tribes from all over the nations used to gather here at Mount Sepoa, Mountains of Mercy. He talks about how the sacrifice was there. He talks about how the giants were there. I mean, he goes into all this stuff, right? He goes, and it's verifying everything that I'm seeing out there, because the archaeologist isn't talking about this, right? And Holbrook says that when the first people got there, that these lights brought these people there, and these beings actually taught these people how to survive, how to live, right? And they taught them the secret ways, the secret incantations on which man was not meant to understand. They taught them how to track the sun. These creatures from the sky, from the earth and sky, the Phoenix Lights, all these beings that we see, interacted with the Hohokam Indians. This went on for 1,000 years. They were masters of the canal systems. And they were carving their stories on what was going on there. They were carving in stone the history of Phoenix. And I've already discussed all this. You know, we're talking giants, man. We're talking these creatures, these Phoenix Lights coming down and interacting with the Indians. Interacting with these Hohokam Indians. And they perform sacrifice, right? Just like in Mexico with the altars and things like that. Same stuff was going on here in Phoenix. And they were recording their events on the rocks out there on South Mountain. So, and that's what happened. That's what was going on. And this lasted for 1,000 years until, for reasons unknown, you can find all this information on my website. When you subscribe to my YouTube channel, all my videos has a link to my website in the description of each video. So you can find my website on my my YouTube channel, The Phoenix Lights, Petroglyphs in the Sky. And you can see on the website the information I dug up in the Phoenix Library about Charles Holbrook. And it talks about the lost city of Cibola. We all know what Cibola is, right? The city of gold. Now, why would the first park ranger talk about a city of gold here in Phoenix, Arizona, right? So Charles Holbrook, he was a very respected man. He wasn't just some everyday Joe, being, the first park ranger. No, man, this guy had credibility in California and Utah and Colorado and New Mexico. I mean, I found information on Charles Holbrook in some of these folders, some of these data banks. And so Charles Holbrook was a very respected man. And thank goodness, he was working for South Mountain. We had him here in South Mountain. And so when he's talking about giants, and now he's talking about sacrificing altars, and he's talking about a handful of corn for a handful of gold, right? And he's talking about, all these tombs that are on South Mountain. Now, why would a respected park official, be talking about all this crazy stuff? This was, back in the early 30s, in the early 1930s up until the late 40s, when he was custodian of the park there. He did tours on South Mountain. He passed out little brochures. That's the brochure that you can see on my website right now. This is what I'm talking about. And he's talking about the sacrificing. He's talking about the giants. He's talking about the spirits of the earth and sky. And he also talks about what happened to these people. Archaeologists, again, they simply migrated somewhere else because of drought. But we don't know where they went. There's no evidence that they left, that they walked away. And even when you and I move, we take our belongings with us, right? The Hohokams didn't. They left everything behind and simply vanished off the face of the earth. Now, this just didn't happen here in Phoenix, Arizona. This happened at the same time around other cultures, other worlds. At the same time, we had a massive, intelligent civilization, prehistoric man, hunter and gatherers, they want us to believe. And they ruled their land for 1,000 years, and all of a sudden they disappeared. Just like that, with no trace. This isn't the only story here in Phoenix, Arizona. This story goes on all over the world. These tribes were there one day and gone the next with no explanation on where they went. Now, the petroglyphs depict these things in the sky. We've already discussed that. We've already proved that. And what happened? What happened to these people? Charles Holbrook says that these people were taken away by the spirits of the earth and sky. Were taken away by the lights, by the feathered serpent, by all these things in the sky. Now, why would a park official say all this, right? Why would he teach this in his journals, in his manuscripts, and stuff that he passed out to people hiking with him on the mountains and touring? The Native Americans at that time told him about the tombs out there, showed him where these tombs were. He was actually there to protect the tombs. And after he passed away, his son wrote a book. And it says how, he was chasing all these tomb robbers off the mountain, off South Mountain. So why would he say that? Why would he say all this stuff if it wasn't true? Especially when his credibility was at stake because, like I said before, Utah and California, and everybody knew who Charles Holbrook was. And for him to come out and say all this stuff, yes, there's giants here in Phoenix. Yes, there's tombs here in Phoenix. Hohokam people, they were taken away, at that time, spirits of the earth and sky, We know them today as the Phoenix Lights. We know them today as these UFOs. We know them today, new name, UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon. Notice how they kind of changed that stuff. So UFOs are, we're kind of like thinking crafts and spaceships. But when we start saying UAPs now, that's a little different, man. Yeah, that's just, they're letting you know, look, man, crafts and spaceships, that's all fine and dandy, but we really need to look on what we can prove and what we see for ourselves. You see a light out there? That's not a spaceship. That's not a little gray guy. That's a living creature. That's a living entity. Just like the fireflies, the lightning bugs. They light up. They light up. That's just them. Excuse me. That's how they were created. Much like these lights in the sky. That's just them. That's how they were created. That's them. You see 5 lights in the sky. You're not looking at 5 ships. You're not looking at one large cloaked ship. You're looking at 5 living entities, 5 living beings. And I discovered all this stuff when these crazy creatures are leaving South Mountain and coming right over my apartment complex. Look at all my videos, man. And you can see them. You can tell that this is not technology. These things are alive. So we have 2 theories on this. We have a craft, and then we have what the Native Americans are saying over these things. I can't even say it. Indigenous people? Excuse me, I can't say it, so I'll just say Native Americans. And what are they saying, man? They're saying they've been saying this for hundreds of years. They're spirits. They shapeshift. Hello, everybody who has joined in. Let's see here. Russell, Alexander, Christina, Tim, Reg, Alexander, Heather. What's going on, guys? Thank you, guys, for joining us. So we're talking about the CCC, the Civil Conservation Corps. And here's a photograph. So all this information, I found all this stuff in the Phoenix Library. Here's them on South Mountain. This is a real bad picture of them. But this was taken, 1938. The CCC. And that's South Mountain in the background there. But that's like the only photograph that I found in the Phoenix Library of the actual CCC on South Mountain. So, okay, why are they there? Why is the CCC there, and what are they doing? So Holbrook was there during the CCC. And Holbrook, he wanted these people, or he wanted South Mountain to be a government park also. He helped, in construction of some of these, fire pits and ramadas and trails and stuff. And he supervised what the CCC was going on. So, during the Depression, President Roosevelt, under this New Deal, hired all these people to go up on these mountains, right? Because he had sent his wife out to find out what the stories and legends and stuff on some of these mountains, on the landscape of the United States, especially on the West Coast. And when his wife came back, and she's telling him all these crazy things, what the Indians or the Native Americans are telling him. Oh, they were doing sacrifice out there. They're making gold idols. They're worshiping false gods. There's tombs out there. And so when Roosevelt saw all that stuff, that just gave him an idea on how are we gonna erase this from history. Wait a minute, people need work, and I need those people to destroy this information. So let's hire these people because they need jobs. Everybody needs work right now. And demonic creatures and sacrifice and giants and tombs, that just doesn't sit well with, this is the new United States. We need to bury this because this is too crazy. We can't admit that there were giants here. We can't admit that, these beings are real in the sky. We can't admit that, what the Native Americans were actually, just let everybody think that it's just a myth, just a story. To help this along a little bit, we're going to hire these people to go up there and start destroying the evidence. And that's what they did. They hired 200 people, 200 young men. And it's interesting, too, because, the Hohokam people, they didn't live that long either. They didn't live that long. To be like 27 years old was considered elderly to the Hohokam. So, basically, it was a bunch of kids out there. The Hohokam people, the Mayans, was, a bunch of kids. They didn't live that long. And so it's interesting on how the same type of young men, these 18, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, all the same type of age group up there destroying what the formal civilization was doing. So they went up there, the CCC, they went up there and they constructed ramadas, and they lived there. They lived on South Mountain for 3 years before World War II broke out. And when World War II broke out, they dumped their shovels and they went to war. And pretty much didn't come back. They didn't come back. No one has came back to actually, clean up the park. We're going to show you evidence today on what the CCC left behind. And so they went in there and they started destroying stuff, and they were actually they were doing mines. We're going to show you mines also today. They did a lot of mining there. I think they pulled out about $60,000 worth of gold and silver out of South Mountain. We're going to show you some mines. And not only that, but they were blowing up petroglyphs. They were blowing up petroglyphs. And why were they doing that? And like I said before, because they're destroying the story. Now, once you start understanding the petroglyphs, because I was taught, now I'm out there and I'm studying the petroglyphs and I'm studying the sky and I'm watching the sun, I'm doing everything that, the Native Americans did back in the day to understand everything, how they lived, what they ate, their rituals, their sacred dances and costumes. I mean, I studied all of this for years, And when I was looking at the petroglyphs, when I started to understand the glyphs and what they were talking about, a lot of them, especially like these coyotes and deers, when they're facing a direction, you want to go in that direction. They're pointing away to the next story. So you have a story here, petroglyphs, but then you have this lone coyote or this lone deer, and he's looking that way. or you have a bunch of stick figure man or a bunch of anthropomorphs facing in that direction, facing right. Everything's oriented towards the right. So they're telling you that the story happened either right here, or you need to keep walking to the right to find the next petroglyph panel, to find the next story. So if you understand that, and you understand what the carvings are actually talking about, as far as, you know, the energy patterns that's there, what actually happened at that site with these stick figure mans recording something above their head, performing sacrifice, burying somebody in a tomb, in a pyramid hill, things like that. You can understand these petroglyphs. And so the CCC, not knowing this, they were instructed to blow up all this stuff, because a lot of these anthropomorphs, these shape-shifting beings, were, you know, kind of scary, you know, and you just can't have, you know, you can't have a family eating their picnic lunch, looking at demonic creatures and people performing sacrifice for these things in the sky, for the phoenix lights, and burying them in tombs, and having coyotes and deers lead you the way to where the tomb is. You know, you get it? You understand what I'm talking about? You know, so, you know, they're going to go in there and they're going to blow up these stories. They're going to blow up this rock art. Because, you know, if I can come around and check this out and understand it, you know, what? 80, 90 years later now, right? And, you know, they didn't know that at the time because they're not archaeologists. They're not studying the holocom. They're just there because they're doing a job. They're blowing the stuff up. But the people who are instructing them to do this understand the story, understand what's there on South Mountain. Oh, by the way, they made South Mountain a government park. Why did they do that? Why pick on South Mountain in Phoenix, Arizona? Why make that mountain a government park? It makes no sense. Why not the Superstition Mountains? Why not, you know, the White Tank Mountains? Why not A Mountain or Shaw Butte Mountain, right? North Mountain. Why is South Mountain the only park that is government land in the heart of a metropolitan city? You get it? You get it? Why? Why would they do that? Why would they make South Mountain a government park? Because there is stuff there. I have seen it. I have found it. I have witnessed it. I have brought the information down from the mountain to you in my book, which I haven't talked about yet. The Phoenix Lights, Petroglyphs in the Sky, Landscape for the Spirits, True Stories, Myths, Legends, and UFOs over Phoenix. Pick it up at Barnes & Noble and eBay, stuff like that. I don't make any money off the book. I told the publishers give it to the foster kids. So it's not about money. It's not about fame. It's about this information to you on what the Phoenix Lights really is, and what do the holocom people say that these lights are. It's all in this book, Phoenix Lights, Landscape for the Spirits, True Stories, Myths, Legends, and UFOs over Phoenix. 15 years of research into that. So, back to South Mountain, why? Why would they do that? Because there are tombs up there. There are sacrificing altars up there. The petroglyphs are talking about giants. You can find evidence of giants. All of this, man. I've been talking about this for 20 years now. And I have not once changed my mind about anything. I have brought this information down from the mountain. I discovered it. I found it. I took photographs of it. I brought these sacred scrolls down from the mountain, from this holy mountain. I'm bringing it to you today to look at this, man. Don't just believe me. Go out there and look at the stuff and ask questions. Why is the park a government park? How is a big giant wall constructed like that with no utility trucks to stack these boulders on top of each other the way it is, right? Right, okay. I don't have a lot of time, but I always like to babble because it's so interesting. It's so fascinating, you know, and once you've seen it and you've witnessed what's actually there on South Mountain and you study the past and you've talked to the Native Americans about this, and you've studied the petroglyphs, and you see the things in the sky, and I mean, everything just changes. It changes. You know, you look at the world completely different now. And you bring this information to people because it's so fascinating. I love it. That's what I'm doing. Let's get on with it. Let's move on. So we're talking about the CCC and how they went in there and blew up stuff. Now, okay, this guy here, this plaque is located on South Mountain, and we're going to talk about the petroglyph. And it says this petroglyph boulder was found in Arlington, Arizona, by F.N. Fritz Homestead, 1884 to 1955. The first full-time civil engineer for the city of Phoenix. Soon after Phoenix, Arizona became a state in 1912. Fitz had moved to Phoenix by train to Aztec Park, First Avenue, and Monroe. And then in the late 1950s, it was then taken to the location here in South Mountain Park. So he's talking about this rock here, this one. So he completely moved this stone. And this stone right here isn't even native to Phoenix, but yet now it sits in the Phoenix Park, Phoenix South Mountain. It doesn't even belong there. If you look carefully, look at the spirals. Right, here's a spiral. We can tell it's a spiral because it's all connected together, and it's going clockwise. See that? And it's ending down. See that there? Let's study this for a minute. Bring this in more. Now look at that. Okay, so wherever this boulder was taken off of, whatever mountain it was, and he should have never removed this. He should have kept this story in that spot on this mountain where it was found at. He should have never moved this boulder. But look, look at all of this. It's like it's been sandblasted, right? Why is that? It's been sandblasted. But anyway, look at the spiral. Spiral's going clockwise. Okay, so it's a doorway in. Look how the spiral is ending down. Okay, so I'm sure. Now look, see this line here? Look at this. These are mountains right in this area. Okay, these are mountains. So wherever this petroglyph was taken from, wherever this boulder was taken from, it was oriented towards the mountains in the background of this boulder. And it's telling us it's a huge spiral compared to these mountains, right? So so what the Native American is telling us is that this mountain is a doorway for the spirits. It's a huge doorway. Look how big the spiral is compared to the mountain peaks there. Let me blow it up further for you guys so you can get a better look what I'm talking about. Look at that. See that? You can barely see it. You can see a peak right there. See that? And look how it comes up and it joins with the spiral. See that? Boom. It goes down into a mountain, right? Into a mountain range, all right? All this stuff over here, look at this. These symbols are symbols of energy. Okay? So he moved this rock. He moved this boulder, which he wasn't supposed to. He thought it was neat. Put it on a train and took it to Phoenix. And you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to remove these petroglyphs. Oh. And let me show you. Let me show you what the CCC did with it. Look at this. Here's a better boulder. Let's remove this. Look at this. This is what they did with it. They put that boulder on a pedestal. They made a big concrete. The CCC did. And they put that boulder on top. This is South Mountain here in the background now, that boulder. Now look at this. You see these? That's the CCC handiwork. So what they did is they blew up the rock art, and it shows. Look at this. Look, let's look at this. Let's examine this rock art. Let's blow this up. Look at this one here. Look at this. Okay, so examine this. Here's an orb, right? There's an orb. There's a black dot right there in the middle that I've been talking about. Okay, and now a line comes down from the orb. First, it's an orb in the sky. So all these orbs that we see in the skies today, that's just the beginning. There is more to it. And this is what the petroglyphs are talking about. Look, this is a prehistoric photograph of what's to come, is what we are going to see in our lifetime. This is what these UFO creatures are going to do. They are going to anthropomorph. They are going to morph. They are going to shape shift. Look, here's a line that comes down, and then boom. Here's another line here. Some would say it's the arms, and then look, boom, down. Here's that tail that I talk about all the time, and then here's these legs, right? So a lot of people would say that this is a lizard man because he has that tail. And all my other shows, I talk about that tail, and I talk about these lines coming down from these orbs. Now, a lot of people, we see these petroglyphs with this circle and this line, and it looks like a balloon, right? So why would the Native Americans be carving balloons on the mountain when balloons was not around back at that day? But yet they carved the exact same type of things that kind of resemble a balloon. And that's the reason why so many of these legitimate UFO sightings has been overlooked, is because they see something hanging down from these orbs in the sky, and they automatically think that it's a balloon. I think we need to take a second look at some of this stuff. Now, do we need to go back to the 3rd grade and understand what balloons look like in the sky? We all know what balloons look like in the sky. If a balloon is changing shape and changing color and is being motivated, is going on a clear path, is not going up, it's not going down, but moving in a straight line, we can pretty safely say that it's not a balloon, right? Okay, so let's get off that. So here's the line, and he's going up to this barbell. All right, now look at this. So the CCC blew it up. They blew up that rock, and they kind of made it art form. They now put this in art. Here we go. Look at this over here. This is the Quetzalcoatl. This is the flying serpent. Look at this here, and look. See, they blew up this slab of rock. Was a part of a huge boulder, but the CCC blew it up, and they kept this panel just because of the art. Now look at this. It's a flying serpent, and it's a doorway spiral also. You see that? So a serpent, they're telling us, a serpent comes out of these doorways, an inward and an outward. No, Heather, we haven't seen this yet. This is up on the it's right across the street from the CCC building. Excuse me, not CCC building. From the parks park rangers area. When you take that road on Central, when you take Central and you follow Central Road all the way up into South Mountain, Central will take you, when you go south on Central in Phoenix, and you take Central all the way to the mountain, and then the road turns. I think you remember that. You know, we did drive on that, and then I took you to Holbrook Trail. That's where you and I went, Heather. And but if you keep following that road, it goes all the way up. Then you're gonna run into this area here with a huge parking lot. And this is where, like, there's bathrooms there, and that's where the park ranger's office is. So this boulder can be found right across the street, right across the parking lot from the park ranger's headquarters on South Mountain. So yeah, let's get rid of this bozo. Thanks for moving that for us, dude. All right, look at this. Look at this wall. This is what I'm talking about. So this right here is, now you can see you can see this area here from Phoenix is up here. Phoenix is way past the photograph, and here up on this hill is this wall. Now let's look at this. Now this is you can tell this is a hill. You can find the hill here, and the hill. Look at the dirt. See this? You see how the hill is hiding the rest of this wall. Now look at this. Look at this. Look at that. Look how precisely these bricks has been placed in here. See this? This is not natural. This is constructed by man. Okay, let's blow this up. Look at this, right? And actually, there's a spiral, if I'm not mistaken, there's a spiral carved like right here. This is the only petroglyph that I found on this side of the wall, is right here, and it's a spiral. Look at this. This is the stuff we find in Egypt and Peru and in Mexico. Look how precisely these rocks have been cut and placed, right? And then look at the dirt, look at the hill. So the hill, they purposely covered up this wall. Now, if you notice that this wall is overlooking a driveway. See this road here? Okay? And then, like I said earlier, Phoenix is this way. You can actually see this when you're driving in from the when you're driving on Central, coming from Phoenix, back over here. You can actually see what's left of this wall. So the entrance to the park is way over here in this direction, and then Phoenix is up here, is looking north. All right. And then, so on this side, you can see the hill. On this side, you can see this wall. Now look at this. There was more to this wall here. Now let's look at the other side. Okay, here's another close-up. That's me standing next to it. You can actually see how big these boulders are. That's me standing right next to it. Look at that. You can get a better view on this. Look, and I'm pointing right at it. You know, look at this. This is not natural, right? This is stuff that we see, you know, like in Egypt, like in the Mayans and stuff like that. And then the hill, this is very important. The hill is burying it up right here. You can see the hill. All the dirt, I'm standing on it right there. And then the hill buries this wall, right? And then you can see the blocks, right? This is very fascinating to me. I love this stuff. This is so cool. That petroglyph, that spiral, was located like right in here. It was weird. That was the only petroglyph that I found on this whole wall. But on the other side of this wall, oh, now you can really see Phoenix now. Look at this picture is a good example here. Look, you can see Phoenix in the background now. Look at that. So this wall is facing Phoenix, Arizona. Okay, so everybody driving into South Mountain from Central Avenue can look up, look left, look east, and you can see this wall, right? So it's sticking out like a sore thumb, all right? That's my whole point. It's sticking out like a sore thumb. Now, on the other side of this wall, I found petroglyphs. I think I have a photograph of it, but I'm not sure yet. But this is what it looks like on the other side now. You see that? This is what this wall looks like now. And you can see all the debris. The CCC came in and blew this wall up. This is what it looks like on the other side. And you can see a massive boulder here. Look at this. This is a big, massive boulder. And then I have a better picture of it. But you can see on how there's a link in there. for their machinery to pick up these huge stone slabs, a boulder that they blew up. I think Heather, we did talk about this when you were here. I think I did point this out. I think we did take a journey out there, but I can't remember. So here's another view of it. Now this is when I'm up on the wall. I'm up on the debris, and you can see, look how they blew it all up, right? Because there was tons of petroglyphs on this wall. It's the only reason why they blew it up. One, you can clearly tell that it's a wall, right? You can clearly tell that, you know, something is there, right? But also there were petroglyphs on there. And it's facing the city. So anybody could, you know, see that, and being an archaeologist or not, can clearly see that that's a wall there, right? Here's more. Look at that. Look what they did. See? I mean, it's just depressing. Look what they did. They blew it all up. They couldn't move it, so they just put dynamites in it and just blew the shit out of it. Isn't that sad? And I did find one petroglyph high up on that rock, and I don't know if I have the photograph here or not, but this is on the other side. This is on top. I'm looking on top of the wall, and now there's an empty water port or container there, a huge water thing there that you can tell it's all dried up now, but they used to use it for water here. The people nowadays, not the Indians. But yeah, I'm showing you like how, you know, they put this water thing there. Here's another example. This is that big stone chain link. Whoops, don't move that. Let's move this one right here. See that? And they just left it there. This is still there today. I mean, huge slabs of boulder, of debris that has been blown up, that had petroglyphs on it, that was actually constructed, you know, by somebody big, maybe a giant, you know, made this wall out there, but it just didn't fit, you know, the category. It didn't fit what they wanted us to believe, so they have to remove all the evidence. And they have to make it a government park. So if anybody goes in there like me and discovers these tombs and digs them up and pulls out maybe a giant skeleton or you know, some kind of giant you know, some kind of evidence to suggest that, you know, the history that they're trying to tell us just doesn't add up on the proof that's out there. Okay, here's some more. This is new rock. You can tell. Look all this. This is old rock. See the tarnish? See the I forget what they say, but the patina. That's what it is. The patina of the rock is old. It's brown. You can tell. That's the original of what the rock, you know, looks like today. Now this is new rock. This is after it's been blown up. All right. Now I don't know if you can tell. Yeah, you can see petroglyphs. You can see petroglyphs that's been carved on this boulder, and they blew it all up. They're concealing this story. They couldn't move the boulder, so they just, you know, blew it up. Here's evidence of the dynamite sticks. You can see the sticks. You can see the dynamite sticks. Right there. See that? And then, of course, the new rock. That's what I call new rock. This is old rock. The patina is brown. See that? The aging is brown. And then we have the new rock. I mean, this is just crazy. Look, here we go again. More dynamite sticks. More more dynamite sticks. All right, so the CCC also went in. They made tombs, or not tombs. They they did their own, they did their own tombs, didn't they? Yeah. So they did the mines. There's my son Josh, and we're getting ready to enter this mine here, and this goes way back under South Mountain. And yeah, we traveled pretty far back. There's tons of mines on South Mountain there, and this is one of them. And there's Josh with his video camera getting ready to videotape us going inside. There's there's Josh there. He's ready to go in. We're going in the mines. Pretty fun exploring. This is inside the mine. This is what it looks like inside one of the mines in South Mountain. Done by the CCC. Now this is when we're walking up to the mines. So this is like this was like the major mine here. The CCC, they actually camped out here. This is one of their campsites, their campgrounds. I found so many like trash from them, like just cans, rusted old cans in a huge pile. I didn't know if they were going to plan on picking that stuff back up, but they didn't have time. From there, they went to war and nobody came back and picked up all this stuff. So all the trash left by the CCC is still there. All their cans and food and fire pits and all the evidence. And you can see the debris here, the piles of from the mines. You can see that of the dirt. See that there? So walking up on the mines, you can actually, you're getting close when you see those piles of dirt. Here's a concrete structure. So they built their own home out there, I guess. So and you can see that it's still there today. What's left of it? These stone slabs, these concrete slabs, and then back here is the mine debris on South Mountain. Here's another view of it. I mean, they had a kitchen out there, and they had fire pits, and then right back here, I saw a photograph where all these tents were. The CCC lived in tents for 2 years up here on South Mountain, and they popped their tents up right up in here. Here's another long view of it. When you're walking up, you can kind of see. This is right in this area here. This is where the tents were. You can see a dried up stream. There's probably some water right there. That's why they pitched their camp right around in this area, because at one time there was water there. And then right here in the background you can see the mines, and it goes way back. I mean, goes way back into this mountain here and into this mountain. So I mean, it's just like a huge honeycomb of tunnels up in there, and it gets kind of dangerous. So unless you're a very experienced explorer, I don't suggest you guys going in there, because it is, and you can still see the boards that are still holding up the ceiling. So, and this has been sitting there for 80 years now at least, and so it's kind of dangerous. There's me, I'm standing right there. And so yeah, it's kind of dangerous in there. So if you're not experienced, and make sure that you tell somebody, if you do go, make sure you tell somebody where you're going. Now, that was one of my mistakes. I usually never told anybody where I was going, so I would go. I would be deep into South Mountain, and way off the trails, and I mean, yeah, you can get lost up there. Let me tell you that. And it's very dangerous up there. And so if anything would have happened to me up there, nobody would have known. You know, I would have just been some rotting corpse up there that somebody probably would have found, 80 years later, And so, yeah, I never told anybody, which is the wrong thing to do. So if you're going to go hiking, if you're going to go do that stuff, make sure you tell people where you're going to go and what time you plan on being back. Just in case, you come up missing, somebody knows where you're at. I didn't do that, but I was lucky. I ran into a lot of livestock up there. I ran into javelinas. I ran into rattlesnakes. I ran into coyotes. I ran into bees. I mean, I ran into these lizards, man. These chuckwalla lizards chased me out of their area one time. I guess because I was too close to a nest. So, and I had like 40 of them run at me, these big, huge chuckwalla lizards, man. So yeah, I've had my, share of encounters up there on the mountain over the years. And, it's been exciting. It's been very exciting, and it's been very dangerous too. So this is part of the CCC work. And you can tell, I mean, look. Well, because earlier we showed that giant wall, and I showed you how big those blocks were, right? Those big cutout stones, so that's heavy stuff, man. Now look, you can tell with these little stones that this was, made by man. And this was a dam that they had to build. Remember that stream that I just showed you earlier where the tents were back there on that last photograph? And I showed you this is where the CCC was camping out, and there was a stream right there. Well, that stream was part of this dam that they had to construct because one time it flooded. It flooded real bad, and this area here where this dam is now, it flooded, and it flooded out their tents and everything. It was a big mess, and so they constructed this dam for that reason. So when it rained again, when it flooded again, their tents wouldn't get flooded. So they constructed this dam, and this is like a few miles down the road from the camp. So yeah, this is way out. So, and they figured this is where the spot was to stop the water flow from flooding their camp. So the CCC constructed this dam, and you can still see it today. It's still sitting there. But you can tell on how those blocks there are small, and then the big blocks on the wall I just showed you was huge in comparison to these blocks here. So that should tell you a little bit, not natural, right? So somebody big, maybe a giant, constructed those walls, right? I found evidence of giants on South Mountain. I found petroglyphs of giants. So yeah, the stories and the myths and legends, if you will, talk about the giants here in the Valley of the Sun. So yeah, here's another entrance to a CCC mine. And this one was kind of cool. This one actually, maybe they stopped. Maybe they were doing this when World War II broke out, so they just stopped. I don't know what happened, but this mine doesn't go all the way back, so it kind of stops about halfway through it. And it was neat too, because when I was exploring this, I found a rattlesnake rattle right here, and that was pretty fun. Pretty neat to find that. You can find all kinds of neat stuff up there on South Mountain. Okay, so that's the Civilian Conservation Corps, CCC, 8th Corps area. These are the people that when you go up on South Mountain, especially down on the lower half, you'll notice all these rocks that have been devastated and blown up. And if you look closely, you can see petroglyphs carved on these rocks. And that's the reason. That's the reason, because they're destroying the story. Everything that we were just talking about. The wall. They blew up that huge wall. There's petroglyphs there. I showed you evidence of the petroglyphs and the blown up boulder. So yeah, they're covering up the story. They're blowing up the story. And, you know, they didn't know exactly what they were doing at the time. So it's really, you know, not their fault. But it's the people who understood the petroglyphs, the people who made South Mountain a government park, the people who don't want to tell you the full history of Phoenix, Arizona. That it's their fault. They're the ones that went in there and, you know, is hiding this information from you. And so I'm bringing back, you know, the history of Phoenix and all of this, everything that I've been talking about, I can back up. It's not just my story. It's not just a theory. It's not just, you know, his story or whatever, but it's actually proven facts. So, and there's the CCC there and South Mountain in the background. So these are all the people here. There's like 200 young men on South Mountain that did their handiwork. They constructed trails and fire pits and ramadas and parking lots, and stuff that we see today has to do with this CCC. Okay, let's get on to this UFO sighting. This thing is crazy. I can't remember where this was. A viewer sent this to me, and I thought it was really, really cool. And it resembles some of the stuff that I've been filming. Let's go ahead and push play on this. Look at this. This is crazy stuff. Look at this. This is neat stuff. Look at that, and you can tell. Look how it's moving across the sky. It's on a direction. It's on a path. Now, when I was watching these things in Phoenix, you know, I noticed one would come out of South Mountain and go over Phoenix in a straight line, just like what this one's doing, and then it would go into another mountain. So they're actually, in watching them and studying these things, you know, they're, in my opinion, they're jumping from one energy spot to the next energy spot, and they follow the seasons. They follow the sun. Let's stop that. Boop. Let's stop that for a minute. Stop. Look at that thing. In my other videos and shows, I talk about the reasons why these beings are here in Phoenix, and how to track them, and how to follow the sun, and what the Native Americans say about these things, and actually how to. That's how I was able to track them. Is I follow the sun and I follow the seasons, and that's the reason why they like South Mountain so much, and these other mountains is because they were created by a fault line. And that's what these beings are after. Look at the dot. Look at the dot in the middle. See that dot? See the dot? I talk about this dot in a lot of shows and on the petroglyphs, the petroglyph panels. So we have an orb, and then we have a black dot in the middle. See that dot? You can barely see it. I wonder if I can zoom in on this. Yeah, see? That dot is what I'm talking about when it comes to petroglyphs. You can see a faint dot right in there. This is a great, great sighting. I really enjoy this. And I appreciate the viewer who contacted me and sent me this video, because this is just fantastic. This is great stuff. And look how it's going in a straight line. It's on a mission, but it's also changing shape. See that? And those of you who have been following my UFO sightings, I've been filming the exact same type of things. Most of them, anyway. Other stuff I've been filming, the public has never seen before. You know? So, let's just study this thing for a minute. Isn't that crazy? That is good video. And it's going in a straight line. It's totally on a mission. It's going somewhere. It's probably coming out of one mountain and heading towards another. And now it's going over this person's house. Great, great video. This is the kind of stuff that we want to look for. Fantastic. Fantastic stuff. Just love it. Look at that. Look how this thing is on a mission. It's going somewhere. Right? There it is, right there. It's getting away from him, but you can still see it. Great, great video. Great film. Fantastic. Fantastic. Look at that. Awesome. And I always tell everybody, look, if you're going to go UFO sky watching, if you're going to go, hunt UFOs and stuff like that, always try to make sure you get a video camera. Cell phones are okay, but it doesn't give you the exact, distance. And they're not good quality. A lot of these cell phones, you can't zoom in, very good. So I tell everybody, if you can, please use a video camera. I take a video camera with me everywhere I go, because you never know when you're going to run into these things. So you always want to be ready. You always want to be prepared. And when you see these things in the sky, you want to be fast and get your camera out and start filming them. Look at this creature. Look at this thing. Is that crazy or what? That is some fantastic stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you follow me on my Facebook page, the Phoenix Lights, Petroglyphs in the Sky. Contact me, follow me, subscribe to my YouTube channel, the Phoenix Lights, Petroglyphs in the Sky. Lots of good stuff there, lots of past shows, lots of UFOs filmed by myself. And so, yeah, if you guys have a UFO that you guys want to send me, have me look at, let me check it out. I always enjoy videos. I want to see videos. Photographs are okay, but they're really hard to analyze. So to properly analyze, to make sure it's a real UFO, we really want to see video. And it's so important. It's so important that you guys film how the object leaves. Okay, so we want to make sure that you film the object leaving the sky. Okay, so that'll do it for tonight's show. Follow me. Contact me on the Phoenix Lights, Petroglyphs in the Sky YouTube channel. And we will see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much for watching and for tuning in. And yeah, so let's end off the show with this UFO in the sky.